actually continue to try to tell him, like, the reason why I'm in Hawaii, I was actually planning to become a nun, joining this religious community. My parent didn't allow me. That's why I'm here.
This must have been a bomb in John Anna's family.
Oh, yeah. I was not even aware of the magnitude at that time because I'm very ignorant about how in India arranged marriage is still pretty much a thing. And then I didn't even realize, of course, for their family is like, you definitely married people who not just only Malayali. Yeah. I even know that you need to from a same community.
Same caste,
isn't it? Yes. I didn't realize.
This is very important because you've been a Catholic and Anna has been a priest and he has come out of priesthood. So he understands how certain institutions work. And even if you look at it, Isha Foundation is also an institution set up by Sadhguru. So there are so many things happening. So him from one organization to another, it must be very skeptical, right? It's very skeptical. So I want you to take me through that and the audience also through that. And then we can go into you deciding to come and volunteering for Isha Home School and your experience of that. I think that is the crux of this podcast, but I want you to talk because nothing is complete in our podcast without Sadhguru.
So this is how their life is. I can give you a little bit of the rundown. So each house, about 20 kids. And then they will be staying in a room which is about 8 kids in one room. But of course, the younger one, there will be a bunk bed and then there will be more kids.
Right.
And each house will have house parents, 2 parents. Like, it can be a couple because we have teachers who are couples. But it also can be 2 like male teacher or 2 female teachers.
As we all know, Yamini Akka made a certain allegation against, Isha Home School and what her son went through. So I just want you to, I want to know whether you have interacted personally with him and how was that interaction and how was he in the school. Namaskaram everyone and welcome back to another episode of Vaishu's podcast. So for people who are watching this podcast for the first time, I would like to give a bit of intro on this podcast. So in this podcast, I try to bring seekers on the spiritual path from all walks of life, for whom divinity has entered their life through the spiritual practices and sadhana that they do. And this divinity has become a huge enabler and empowerment in their life and not a disabler. Like my guru Sadhguru says, for most people, spirituality and divinity has become a big disabler in their life. So in this podcast, you won't find such guests. So if you want to take charge of your life, if you want to take charge of your destiny, this is the podcast for you. If not, you can totally skip this. So with this episode, there's a certain intent I have. So I volunteer a lot of my time and effort for the organization called Isha Foundation set up by Sadhguru. So recently there has been certain allegations against the Isha Foundation, especially against a certain school, form of school that Isha Foundation runs, which is called the Isha Home School. So when I heard this, I wouldn't say I was disturbed, but something bothered me. But at the same time, I'm not a person who wants to take down someone else just because they have said something against something that I trust or something that I believe in. So I thought it was best I address it in my own way. That is bringing someone who has volunteered with the Isha Home School for a lot of time. So today my guest is Chin Mei Akka. She's someone of Chinese origin. She was born and brought up in Indonesia. She studied in Taiwan. So we'll get to know more about her. Before we even go into Isha Home School, I would really want you to get to know her as a person. Because once you get to know a person, who that person is and how genuine and authentic that person is, you will anyway know whatever they're trying to do will also resonate with that. But if you feel through the podcast that the person is not genuine, you can anyway come up with your own conclusion. And that is very important for me, that neither me or no one should be able to influence you. You should be able to make your own decisions. So if this podcast interests you, do give it a listen. And at the end of the podcast, if you find it has added some value to you, I would definitely love you to subscribe to this channel. So let's get into the podcast. Namaskaram, Akka.
Namaskaram.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. How are you, Akka, today?
Very happy very fresh because this is a wonderful time that I ever will remember because I never had this experience.
Awesome, Akka. So your name, do you know that your name Chin Mei we have this name a lot in India. Has anyone asked you about this name?
Yeah, when I first introduced myself, Chin Mei is my Chinese name. People all tell me, oh, is this a name that given by your guru? Because our guru, Sadhguru, also will give names if you request it. So I said, no, it's my personal name because it actually has a name people in India, Chin Mei temple, or is actually a saint. So I was really very taken aback and also very happy to know that also. Wow, my name actually have that connection.
Awesome, Akka. So we would really love to get to know you. So yesterday when I visited your house, something that really intrigued me was that your parents were Buddhists. Mm-hmm. And I would really love to know what it is to grow up with a Buddhist upbringing among Buddhist parents. Could you talk a little bit more about them and how you grew up?
Okay, so I grew up, I born in Indonesia. My parents are Indonesian Chinese. They obviously, like I said, Buddhist, but they are not like a practitioner Buddhist, but they go by a lot of the value of Buddhism. My grandparents both also. But also there is something called Taoism that also being part of our Chinese way of life. It's like Hindu. Taoism is way of life. Hindu is also way of life. People may not necessarily always thinking about that. So we may not necessarily a temple goer, like a Buddhist temple goer, but at the same time, a lot of the festivity and the significant days, we will observe it. So I grew up seeing them just going to put out a fruit or a certain significant thing on the little altar that we have. One thing that we Chinese very big, I think also in Hinduism, is also the worship of ancestor. We honor our ancestors. So we have the altar in our home where we actually put our ancestor name. So we always kind of remember how important they are to us. So that is how I grew up. I only see a lot of that part of our life as a rituals, but at the same time also as a way of life. Yeah.
Awesome, Akka. So how was your school days, and did you have a lot of Chinese friends? Because you, even though you're of Chinese origin, you grew up in Indonesia, right? So how was that like growing up in a different country? Did you feel like you lost root with your country or?
Thank you for asking that, because I always have this so-called identity crisis. Yes, growing up in Indonesia as a Chinese-looking person, I definitely sometimes feel that I don't really fully belong, because my friend, the Indonesian friend, sometimes definitely will see me a little bit in a different light. But overall, I feel that I'm still a happy kid. It's just that back home, my parents will instill in us that we will continue to speak Chinese, so I didn't lose that mother tongue. But go back to school, we will speak Indonesians. So very early on, I will definitely have this two language going on in my brain. And of course, eventually I grow up, people always ask me, so which language will come to mind first, especially if you say praying or when you're angry. Actually, interesting enough, I cannot say which one, because sometimes I will actually mix both. But I used to actually don't like that, because I always feel that I don't have one particular language that I'm really good at. Right. But right now, I only see that as a blessing, because now I can communicate with two different community of people, because I can speak Chinese and I can speak Indonesian. Growing up in Indonesia, we are a little bit apprehensive about our Chinese identity, because if people who really interested in history, back in 1965, Indonesia has actually come down very hard on Chinese because of the communist connection. So at that moment, they decided to actually eradicate any Chinese school, Chinese word, any Chinese connection. So people with Chinese names also start busy changing their name or making a new name, so that you will not be so on their face. Discriminated, yeah. So my parents obviously being aware of that and make sure that me and my sister both can grow up well in Indonesia. So pretty soon after we born, they actually also give us an Indonesian name. Okay. So when I was in school or going anywhere, I always introduce myself as Malia, Malia, okay, as my name. Yeah. So only at home, my parent will call me Chin Mei. Okay. But as I grew up, now I only want to say that I want to use my Chinese name more, because I feel that in my childhood, I didn't really honor my own name, because I almost like try to disassociate from that name because of the environment that I live in.
True.
Yeah.
So, awesome, Akka. Awesome. So, I just want to ask you now, do you know Malayalam?
Korchu.
So now
I'm Manslai more.
Manslai. Awesome. So in the intro, I forgot to mention one thing, that Akka is married to a handsome Indian guy. Oh. So we'll keep that as the point where we'll build up to. So how did that happen from your school days? I want you to go to your college days, how you met him, and how this happened.
Okay. Wow.
Because now you are in Kerala. You are in God's own country. So how did that happen?
That's right. Yeah. So after I completed high school in Indonesia, my parents both really see the importance of me embracing my so-called Chinese roots. So they make it a point that I will go to college in Taiwan, where I can actually obviously learn Chinese and also be part of the community where everybody is Chinese. I forgot to mention, sometimes I do long to be part of a community where everybody look more like me.
Right.
But of course, little that I know when I arrived in Taiwan, although I look Chinese, but since I didn't grow up there, very quick people that I mingle with know that I'm actually not one of them, because the way I speak or the thing that I refer to, culturally, I was not really attuned with them. So again, I become a little bit of an outsider that way.
What are those things that a Chinese person does that is unique to them, according to you at that time?
Actually, it's just simple thing like using chopstick, for example. I didn't grow up using chopstick, right? Because in Indonesia, we don't use chopsticks a lot. So yeah, just the sheer experience of just learning how to use chopsticks. And then when I eat with my friend in the college, when they use chopstick, they know that I was not doing it correctly. And then the way I speak, obviously I speak Chinese, but sometimes you refer to things that people don't usually say in Taiwan, like all the slangs, right? I don't probably have all that. So yeah, they pretty quick realize that I'm not actually authentically part of Taiwan upbringing kind of kids. But I think it's also give me a lot of chance to kind of be able to understand how people see you, and also how I actually also need to also humble to learn a lot of new things. But at the same time, I think that is important for me to realize that when you're young, you always want to feel belong. Right. But I think now I feel that those are the moments that I feel like I always need to be more conscious about who I am, because I always know that I need to learn new things and I also need to adapt to new things. So it makes me more adaptable that way. Yeah. And then it helped me now that I move from country to country. So I feel that I'm much more adaptable than many people.
Okay. So was it in college? What was the kind of a course you were doing, and when did John Anna come?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was admitted in a college called Furian Catholic University in Taiwan. And I'm majoring in business administration. So this particular college is a very unique one, because this is the only Christian or Catholic university in Taiwan. Because as a whole, Taiwan is also another country that mainly the religion would be Buddhism or Taoism. So Christianity is probably 0.1 or 2%. But this Catholic university obviously have a missionary that run it, and this missionary will come from different part of the world. So being part of a Catholic university, I had a chance to also obviously learn more about Christianity, which I eventually become a Catholic when I was in college. I got baptized, and then John, that you just mentioned, my husband, at that time he actually he decided to become a missionary. So he born and brought up in India, and then he got a chance to be sent to Taiwan to be a missionary in Taiwan. Right. And in order for him to be able to work in Taiwan, he need to learn Chinese. So the college that I'm in, we are very famous to have a language center to teach foreigner Chinese. So he came to the college for that purpose. He want to learn Chinese. So I was in that college at the same time. And since I'm also active in the church, so I get to know him. And we had a chance to be put in an activity to perform for a Christmas kind of performance. It's a drama called Light and Darkness.
Okay.
And this Light and Darkness drama actually is pretty interesting because we are not performing with words. We are actually word act, like in a mime way. So we just kind of like doing a lot of action in a very intense way, so people would understand what is going on. So yeah, in that drama, John acted as Jesus. Okay. And I acted as a contemporary Eve, Adam and Eve. So there will be another male who's Adam. So we are talking about this history of salvation where human being obviously came at the beginning, purely not sure what they're doing, and then starting falling into a lot of wrong things and sin. And then Jesus, obviously, as we all believe that he come to save a human being by giving a good example of how you can actually live a more a good life. So I think that the whole gist of the story, so obviously he played as a savior of my life. But I think in the real life, I guess, eventually when we met again and eventually that we now become a partner in life, I think in that sense, I think it's a good beginning that we find one another in that particular activities.
So can I ask, Akka, you just mentioned that, from being a Buddhist, you got baptized into Christianity. So how did your parents take that? And could you tell up the events leading to you making that decision that, you want to follow the path of Jesus?
Yeah. My parents, in general, they are quite open about us choosing what we want. But obviously, when I was younger, I have actually expressed interest to, embrace Catholicism or Christianity. But I think at that moment, they definitely see that they don't want me to decide so early to be part of one particular religion because they do want me to explore. And honestly, I also not sure that if I understand the full extent of why I want to become a Christian. Because at that time, I went to Catholic schools, and as a kid, you always feel more belong if you actually embrace the religion that where all your friends actually also embrace. And then you also want to be part of the activities. For example, I remember when I was young, every Christmas, all kids will be selected to play this nativity scene where some people will be angels, some people will be Mary, some people will be Joseph. And I always feel sad that they will not pick me because I'm not a Christian. They don't see that I can actually be part of that particular kind of activities. And then I always feel that is probably why when I was younger, my motivation to become Christian. But as I grow older, when I come to college, I actually learn a little bit more. And then I really see that a lot of the value of Christianity is really resonant in me. So I thought, it's time for me to decide. And then I tell my parents. My father at the beginning was not as happy because he just really don't think that we need to really be baptized. He think that, okay, you can be happy with that value and then you can just live out that value. But I thought, I want to proclaim that I actually a Christian. Becoming a Christian, becoming a Catholic by really dedicated myself or going through that ritual of being baptized. So yeah, I think after some quote unquote negotiation, although I know that no matter what, I will still do it. And then I become a Catholic when I was in college.
Beautiful, Akka.
Yeah.
So now, for most of us, at some point in our life, we go through certain crises. Even though everything is happening around is very beautiful or materialistically everything is happening well. So yesterday while I was talking to you, you shared certain incident of you going through a crisis yourself. So could you I think it'll be very value adding to the audience because everyone goes through an identity crisis. And when we see that our fellow human beings are also struggled and you're someone with so much experience in life, you're gone through a lot.
Thank you.
So could you share the things that led up to that crisis, what happened during that time and how you were able to come out of it, if at all you were able to come out of it?
I hope I come out of it. But yeah, definitely a crisis happened in a way that you didn't expect. I need to say that I have a very smooth life. Both my parents are very loving and very providing also. I never remember a day that I need something and I was not provided. I never financially struggle or anything like that. So in my life, I think be it my education, be it anything that I want to do, I usually achieve it. But very little that I know that I keep on choosing things that to do that to please others, or particularly to please my parents. So I major in business administration, as I told you. So I see myself, I definitely need to become a successful businesswoman, which I obviously model because my mother is like that. My mother is a very successful businesswoman.
What was she doing?
My mother actually had been working for a very prominent company called China Airlines. It's the national airline of Taiwan. And then she worked there for almost 30 years, retired as a general manager. And because of that, we only remember her more as a mother who actually has this capacity to lead people and always being appreciated, because out of all the team that she worked with, most of them are men. So she can be always in the middle of all the men. She's the only woman.
Okay.
So yes, me and my sister always feel very intimidated, but at the same time proud of her, and obviously have a very tall order to follow. So when I select my study, I also select business because I see myself probably one day will become like her. But very little that I know actually. I don't see myself eventually really enjoy the business world. But of course, you already studied and then you actually already kind of portray yourself as it. So I continue to strive in that area. So after I completed my college in Taiwan, I worked for a few years. And mind you, I even choose airline industry. At the beginning, I worked for an airline industry for 2 years. I worked for this particular company that runs Swiss Airline. And then I thought, since I always think that it will not be complete if I didn't do a master degree or a postgraduate degree. So I thought, okay, let me actually also go abroad and then also do another degree. So I feel like I will be a little bit more complete and valuable that way. So I went to England for a year. I got admitted in a program in England for 1 year in human resource management postgrad degree. And actually it's a very life-changing because at that point, I never been to a Western country.
Okay.
And actually, mind you, my English is not that well. So I grew up in Indonesia. I speak Indonesian, I speak Chinese, but English has never been part of my, education. So it is a little bit of a challenge for me. But I was not aware of how bad of that challenge. So I obviously got admitted in this particular university called Hull University in northern England. And then I really struggled in that 1 year to complete my degree. Luckily, I have a few wonderful friends. I need to mention these two people. One is Kartriani, Kate, my friend, and then Joseph Jayachandra. And actually, he is actually Indian also. These people really behind me to help me to complete my degree when I was in England. And I become a lifelong friend with them. And then until today, I think they are very influential in my life and in good or bad, because we always still continue to have that connection and sharing. So yeah, that was a very life-changing and the first time in my life really far away from home and start seeing myself in different light. And that also gives me a lot of understanding of who I am, because when you are really not being in the community that you're familiar with, suddenly you realize, oh, yeah, what I am is different now, because I'm not taking anything for granted anymore. So yeah, I guess that is important to mention. So when I come back from England, I right away actually landed a job which is pretty good in this one Big Five firm called PricewaterhouseCoopers.
How good was it? Could you give us some
so,
details?
Yeah, so in the world there is they always say Big Five. Big Five meanings because this in the business world, auditing firm or management consulting firm is always kind of a place to be that people will seek for all this service. So there is Big Five firm like Ernst & Young, KPMG, PwC, Deloitte. Actually, Big Four right now, people said. are always a very difficult to be part of. Like, you know, you need to be that good. Sometimes they said that they will recruit you as a consultant. So I was lucky because I really don't know about that when I apply. But then I got accepted in that particular company, and I right away work as a human resource consultant because I study human resource in England. So yeah, I see myself lucky that way. But when I say lucky means in the realm of financial and job, right the way I have a stable job, right the way I have a job that actually provide me a lot of opportunity to learn. So with that career, I need to say that I gone through a lot because obviously consulting firm, although they pay you well, they also give you a lot of learning, but they stress you out also. Because we work with different clients, we always need to move from one place to another. Sometimes we don't even know like which one is your next client, and you need to be always with some client work, because if you are sitting in the office, that means you are, they call it on the beach, you are not earning because
the beach is good.
On the beach is not good.
Not good.
Yeah, because you are just sitting there doing nothing. So I feel a lot of the stress, of course, after some time, because once you being in that kind of environment, you always need to perform because the company want to be able to take a benefit out of your performance with the client. And I personally think when I start working in that kind of firm, I connect more with people. I like to talk to people and also learn about people's story, because human resource has a lot of facet. There's a facet where you actually really need to help people to become more able to do their job. For example, at one point, I actually was assigned to do change management. So my role that time is change management consultant. And I think a lot of time for a company go through a change, the most important part of the change is how the people can adapt to the change. So as a change management consultant, I need to talk to people first. Like, okay, your company now decide to change now. They need to change to a new software, and this software will impact a lot of your job. And how will you cope with it? Do you need more training? Do you think that you can actually be able to take up all these different roles because your job maybe will be taken away by the machine or by the software? So I remember a time that I need to really help people to understand the change, but at the same time also become more familiar with who they are and what is their family's struggle. Because when you start to talk to people, people may not necessarily just talk about their job. They can start talking about different things. So I see myself becoming engrossed with people's stories. Although I still in the very business world, but sometimes I know that my boss will not be too happy because I spend more time with people talking. But at the same time, I need to complete all this presentation report that I need to do. And sometimes I'm just running out of time. So I start noticing that, although I study business, but my ultimate kind of feeling is more to get to know people and get to know people struggle. And yeah, definitely want to be able to be the support for that people that struggling in their job. So up to 1 year, about the 6th year in my career, I had this big meeting that I need to attend in Shanghai. And Shanghai, that time, have just have a very beautiful hotel that I think up to 58th floor, which is pretty high. So I remember because of our company is a big company, Pricewaterhouse always want to have a meeting at the very best place. So we were put in this particular hotel to have this particular big meeting. And I actually was staying in the 52nd floor. And I can see the skyline of that beautiful city at night from my window, from my room. So I remember vividly that in that particular meeting incidents that I finished the whole long meeting that day, went back to my room, opened the curtain and looked through that window, beautiful night with all this night light of the city, and I start crying. I was looking at that beautiful view, but I suddenly realized I don't know why I'm here, because I see that I've been trying so hard to become someone, and I try to do a lot of work that I suddenly realized that I'm not actually really enjoying it. Because as you probably know, in the business world, obviously they said work hard and play hard. And usually after a big meeting, you will go to the bar or the pub and people will be socialized. And I always feel a little bit left out because it's not that I don't know them. It's just that I sometimes didn't see myself be able to, mingle and socialize with them in a way that really genuine. And then I went back to my room just looking at that view and thinking like, my mind just said, how long I need to fake myself? So that time, actually, I started feeling really sad because I know that this is all I thought I have always wanted. My parents are proud of me because I'd be able to work in this particular type of environment. So I start seeing this as a point of crisis because I start thinking this is not me.
Right.
Yeah. So that is probably the beginning of the crisis. And I start understanding that I can have two choices because obviously I can continue to strive and probably one day I can overcome it, or I really need to pause and find out what is going on in me. But I think both possibility is scary because if you continue with it, I can continue to become someone who I'm not. But if I pause, I will break a lot of people's confidence and break their heart because especially my parents, they will think that what's going on, like, I will have no job probably, I will need to change a job, or I probably will not know where to go. So yes, that is a crisis moment in my life. That is the time that I really suddenly think that life sometimes, although you can see outwardly everything is wonderful, because people definitely, a lot of my friends told me that we envy you because you can have all this opportunity to go abroad or to be in the different setup. But at the same time, I found it very burdensome to uphold that so-called prestige or to uphold that type of image.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that will resonate with a lot of viewers also because in today's world where we are always picture perfect on social media, this has like become 100x, everyone posts their best parties, their best dress, they're always hanging out with friends. There's always a fear of missing out. But the person doing it might be feeling very hollow inside, right? So how did you, what was the process within you that you did? What was the next step you thought would help you come out of this? Because like you said, it's a very hard choice. From one side, our parents want a good job. They want us to be happy. And their idea of happiness is having a certain job, having a certain living standard. Mm-hmm. But us going through that nice living standard and everything, we are not happy. So how were you? What was the next step? Yeah,
definitely there is no right answer right away. As you know, crisis always presented to you a big question mark, but the answer is not always readily come to you, right? But at that moment, I was actually pretty involved with church activity, and I'm quite involved with one religious community. So this religious community definitely has been my backbone at that point to help me. A lot of time when I'm really tired from my work, I will go to their community and participate in some of their activity. And church definitely has been quite a good, important place that I can always find my balance. And this religious community really give me a lot of support. And that is also the time when I thought, the solution is probably I can join this religious community. Because at that point, I was at the age where I probably supposed to get married because I think I was almost approaching 30. And my parents already start a little bit worried that, it doesn't seem like I have a partner, or I have a boyfriend.
It's okay in the Chinese culture to have a boyfriend. And
yes, we do. Yeah. So they definitely see that I should be at least dating someone but because of the job, the demand of the job, I also been traveling a lot. But at the same time, I need to be honest, Anna, I was not really, for some reason, interested in a relationship. So I kind of see myself that time in a really genuine way. Probably it's better off for me to actually belong to a religious community where I really can work with a lot of people with like-minded people. And I honestly, since childhood, I never see that marriage is the only way to live. I always feel that there is always people who choose to be single and especially to become a religious. I feel that the community of that religious community is actually a wonderful place to be part of.
True.
So I really seek that opportunity and then try to explore that opportunity. So at that point, because of that crisis, I actually just simply opted that probably the way out, the quick way out, is to actually join a religious community and try to really develop a beginning or new life being part of a religious community. And at that time, I was pretty active in my Catholic circle. I have led 2 times a big activity called World Youth Day, where we lead a bunch of young people to Rome or to any country that the Pope want to meet with young people. So I went twice to this kind of event, work with young people, and then meet up with people, young people from all over the world. So at that time, I see that is actually what brings joys to me. Yeah, like to be with young people and then go to this different country and see how these young people so eager to follow Jesus, at the same time to do good and to support one another. So that time, I think I see myself will be very happy to do that work. So after I decided that my job really not give me joy and didn't give me fulfillment, actually without telling anyone, I just quit the job.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a big decision, obviously. Right. But I really can't see myself continue after that big revelation in Shanghai. So I start pursuing this possibility to join this religious community. And I need to say, it's a very dramatic change that I'm trying to make here. But at that point, I just thought, I just need to make a shift. And I thought that is the most reasonable shift. And then obviously that religious community also very supportive of me. So they actually arranged a few retreats for me to go away, to really be able to calm down and think about it and how I can start preparing myself to enter that religious community. And meanwhile, I never talk about that to my parents until that point.
By joining, what do you mean? Akka?
Joining meaning I will be officially be inducted into this religious community. Is almost like in this tradition probably become a brahmachari or brahmacharya and brahmacharini. Then
so
you,
what is the equivalent of brahmacharya in that community? Like,
so equivalent meaning you will be actually now taking a vow that you belong to this community. And then in Catholic tradition, when you become a religion, when you join a religious community, you take 3 vows. A vow of chastity, a vow of poverty, and poverty. And a vow of obedience. Yeah. So poverty meaning that you don't have any things that belong to you. So say you actually continue to work in the world, but your earning will be part of the community. Which actually is almost like a marriage institution, right? When you come together with another person, you take a vow. So when you earn, your money also will be shared.
If you get married, we are going into poverty.
You definitely, you definitely, in the sense that you want to contribute to that particular institution, right?
Right.
So yeah, and then I thought I can do it. Yeah, I don't particularly worried about money. And then I thought, if I live in a community, my belonging is a part of the community.
Right.
So I see that as a possibility and as a way to go. And then I mustered up my courage to tell my parents. But I couldn't say it out loud. So I wrote a very nice long letters to my parents saying that, I really have decided, this job that I've been doing, which you guys are very proud of, unfortunately, it's really not what I think I can continue. I really don't see that I can be that way. And I have decided that, I have found this religious community that has been really supportive of me. And I also feel very much belong. I really want to become part of them. Although I'm not sure, but I want to try. And then they also will not right away ask you to take the vow. They want to give you a chance to actually stay with them for a year or 2 and then also take some training on theology and all that and see whether you really, really want this path to be part of your path. So I told them that I want to go that route. And I wrote everything very sincerely to my parents. I'm very close to my parents, so I know that it will break their heart. So I try to tell them that, but don't you worry. If I join that community also, I can always come home to see you all. And then eventually, if you need me, I can come back to, take care of you. I even really asked the community. I said, if my parents eventually need me, if they grow old, they said, even in our institution, we build this old age place for all the parents of the member so that the parents can be taken care. So I feel, okay, I can probably do that also. So I see that is always a possibility that I can still take care of my parents while belonging to this community. So I wrote everything down and then put this letter out for my parents to read. Well, I should have known that it will not obviously go. It would not go well because the fact of they are not even Christian. They have very little understanding of what this community kind of life all about. But all they understand is this is almost like becoming a monk. And then for whatever they understand, they think that this is actually a little bit a way of saying that I'm done with the world.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So for them, it's no. Why would my daughter actually be done with the world? And they are so shocked. They are so not happy, of course. And my mother's even like right away become very sick. And then she was so sick that she was not even able to, according to my dad, because I didn't know that time. Because at that point, my mother was assigned to work in Shanghai. Okay. She was put there to lead the China airline in that particular area. So my father told me that your mother was really not well after learning all this and all that. He backed me, said, can you reconsider? Can you not go now? Because at that point, my mother also is going to get another appointment in the US, in Hawaii, to be a general manager in that particular office there. My father said, would you just take a pause in this? Maybe what you can do is just to accompany your mother and go to Hawaii with her and then try to see what do you want in life and all that. It's a big blow for me too, because I'm a kind of person that when I make a plan, I want to make sure that the plan goes. And it's all very, very hard for me. But at the same time, I love my parents. I obviously wouldn't want at any point of my life to put their health into crisis. So I kind of give in. I said, okay, let me go with her to Hawaii for a period of time. And then I will definitely think that time I will convince her. Eventually, I will be able to pursue what I want to pursue.
Hawaii is a very beautiful place, right?
Well, unfortunately, Anna, at that point, because of how I am, I couldn't actually even enjoy Hawaii. After arriving in Hawaii, I actually spent a lot of my night crying, thinking like, what should I do now? Because I feel like I was put in limbo. I already quit my job. I know that I cannot pursue this particular plan that I have. And my mother is now really in the state that I don't know. At that point, she also need to adjust to a lot of new things because, she just got this new post, right? So I think slowly I just try to understand, okay, I think one thing about that particular point, now that I look back, is the point in my life that, how people said this particular term, like the rug is being pulled under you.
From under you.
So you've been standing so firmly on something, something for sure, although it may not be true, but you always think that this is what I know. But suddenly this rug has been pulled on you and you are so wobbly. You're so wobbly, you suddenly become like, so what I know is not really there, and then what I actually think that I could do is not there. So I need to start from scratch in a new country, and then I have to understand, okay, so how am I going to navigate all this, right? And at the meantime, the religious community that I want to join, they also try to connect with me and try to support me from wherever they are. And it breaks my heart because they also obviously have some expectation out of wanting to know when can I actually come back or, all that. So it's very, very hard for me at that time. And at the meantime, my mother obviously continued to say, no, you can do anything in your life, but definitely not going to join a religious community. So I was really sad. Obviously, when my mother went to office in the morning, I will directly went to church to just sit in the church and then try to find some guidance from divine. Where should I go from here? So at that point, my father also suggested that, instead of you just sitting around, why don't you just sign up to study something? Because there is a very nearby college, the University of Hawaii, near where we live. You can probably go and take up some classes. And my father is really trying, because he said, since you seems to not happy with what you were studying in business and all that, probably you learn what you like to learn now. Probably you would like to learn some philosophy, theology, whatever that you see fit you. And I really honestly appreciate my parents, because they try their way to meet me halfway. Because they obviously know that they cannot understand me fully, but they just try to see what can they do to suggest me to,
support you.
To support me. So I took that suggestion. So I went to search from some classes that I can take in this University of Hawaii. I said, okay. But still, I know that, that is just for a temporary measure, but I don't want this. But anyway, I did. So I signed up for classes there. And then, and very little that, obviously when you signed up to the classes, you meet people. And then I start making friends. And there is one or two people that really want to become a good friend to me. Like one lady called Jessica. Until today, I'm indebted to her, because she is the first person that really want to sit down with me and find out what is going on, And she is such an aloha woman. She really very bright and happy all the time. So she tried, although she has a lot of things going on in her life, but she has this aloha spirit, we call it in Hawaii, aloha spirit. So she tried to really let me understand, life is not just one thing. You can actually look at a different part of your life and be joyful. So she was telling me okay, now we are here studying, because we are classmates that time. So she tried to understand that I have this expectation of myself. I want to become a religious person. But she said, what is that religious person about? It's about serving the world, right? She said, serving the world, you can serve the world in many capacity. Even not becoming a religious, right? But of course, at that time I said, but I want to belong to something, right?
True.
Because I don't have a husband or I don't have a family. I want to belong to a group of people. So she said, yeah, but you can slowly go there, but you can always also first find out how you're going to serve the world. So anyway, a lot of time I would sit down with her, and then she always tried to help me to see things from different angle. So that is the first time in my life I see this so-called divine presence is coming through different people. Sometimes you may not necessarily be able to talk to God or really feel that God is with you. But all these people that come to your life, stranger usually, suddenly they will have a very profound thing to tell you, or suddenly they will have something to shed a light on you. So I see that as a sign, So from then on, I start taking more classes. And then eventually I land up with this philosophy one-on-one classes. And this particular professor also ran a project called Philosophy for Children. And this particular project actually just about to begin in China. So when he was teaching the class, he really intrigued by the answer I gave or by the things that I'm interested in. So he just kind of engaged me. He said, okay, so how long you been in Hawaii? What is your plan? And again, out of the blue, this professor is interested to know about my plan. So I said, okay, I obviously honestly tell him I don't know my plan, sir. I actually just accidentally being here. But I'm really interested in you. I was at that point, tell him that your class is really interesting, and I really interested to know more and all that, especially about your project, this so-called Philosophy for Children, because she believed that actually the philosopher in children, I mean, all children actually is philosopher.
Okay.
You just didn't see it because the one question that kids always ask is why.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah. So he said that is what philosophers do. Always ask why. You never stop asking why, because there's always thing to explore. The kids only stop becoming philosopher when they grow up and being shut down every time when they ask why. Otherwise, they are actually a natural philosopher. So he want to cultivate that philosophy for children because he think that children actually going to be able to explore a lot of things if you allow them to ask why. So I thought I really like that, and I want to help him to build to make this project more well known. So he said, since you can speak Chinese, can you help me with my project so that I can actually work with more people in different part of the world. So that is the first invitation that I can actually do something in Hawaii, and as you know, actually at that point my visa that allow me to stay in US is almost expired, because the tourist visa can only allow you to stay in one country, in US 6 months, right? And my parents actually start panicking also, because if I go back to Taiwan, they will also wonder, what will I do? Would I eventually still go back to, making sure that I'm not going back to that religious community things that I want to pursue. And then this particular professor kind of like come in that particular moment asking me, if you're actually willing to stay in Hawaii to help me with this project, I'm going to help you with the visa called research visa. So you can stay as a researcher in this country. See, Anna, that is honestly, to be honest, until today, I think it's almost unbelievable, because out of the blue, this professor will actually ask me that question and eventually offer to help me to get a visa. Yeah. He said that I cannot pay you much. I almost have no budget for this work, but I can help you with the visa. I can help you to get a chance to stay in this country and then do some work with me. What do you think? And at that point, I honestly I'm not financially need a lot of money or anything. So I said, sure. So I end up working with this professor for almost 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. So in that 2 years, I think it's really a place where I reprocess my understanding of what I want and what I didn't want to continue to be part of this business world, and why. And also, what is this religious community pool that I keep on thinking. So I eventually also went to seek help, like a counselor of a religious nun, a Catholic nun. But she has a very different outlook of life. She is a religious woman. She is a nun. But she gave me another perspective. And she teach me how to meditate. For the first time in my life, she said, I will introduce you to a book called Contemplation Through Centering Prayer. So I met this Sister Catherine, her name, this religious woman, Sister Catherine. So she started seeing me regularly, because at that point, mentally, honestly, I'm also needing help.
Which year was it, Akka? At that time, why I'm asking is, at that time was counseling and all
in the US, counseling has always been a very very much part of the fabric of people's life.
Right.
Yeah, and then especially in the society,
it's not a taboo or anything.
Yeah, not a taboo at all. Although I personally feel that way. I'm also a little bit hush about should I actually go to look for a therapist like that. But then eventually I just allow myself to do it, because I really cannot cope on my own. So I went to her, and then I seeing her regularly, like every 2 weeks actually. And then every time I sit down with her, I was obviously crying and telling her like this plan that I have to become a religious person and all that. And eventually she slowly helped me. She said, why don't you join this particular group that I lead? We do centering prayer together every Monday night. And then you just learn how to, center yourself. So this particular centering prayer is started by a monk, a Benedictine monk, a Christian monk who live in a cloister. And then he actually, I believe, also adopt a lot of this Eastern tradition. So he actually used the word mantra. He actually also said that we will start with a mantra, and then you will quiet your mind. And this mantra is how you quiet your mind. Once your mind quiet, you don't need to repeat this mantra anymore. So that is all understanding that I never had. Although I born in the Buddhist family, but my family never really practiced to that extent, like meditation or anything. So for once, I start feeling that I get a little bit of a glimpse of a connection to my roots, actually, because I know that meditation is pretty much part of what Buddha have been teaching. Actually, that is also what Sister Catherine tried to help me. She said that, see, this all meditation thing is really come from Eastern country. Although we also, as a Christian now, adopted it, but I want you to continue to explore. So I actually read a lot of other Thomas Keating books, and then I really try to practice this so-called centering prayer. So I start meditating. Of course,
that experience? Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
How was that experience first time? Like, there are various ideas of meditation. So what did this centering meditation do? Did it quiet your mind? Did you find peace?
Well, I think for all we know, the first time when we try to quiet our mind, that is the hardest thing, because your monkey mind will never stop thinking, right? Yeah. And like, I think we all know when Sadhguru said, when you don't want to think about monkey, the monkey only come.
Yes.
Right? So yes, it's very difficult. I just obviously frustrated by it, but of course, since there is a step by step, and each time this Father Keating also said, we just need to do it 20 minutes per time and don't overstretch it. In this 20 minutes, probably one minute or 2 minutes, you get that really real silence. But at the beginning, it's just to learn how to not combating or try to go to war with your mind. And I think that in itself is already very difficult, because you just try to, because we always live in this very dichotomy world. One is bad, one is good. So if you keep on having all this distraction, you think it's bad. So you need to fight it. So the more you fight it, the more it comes to you, right? So he actually have a metaphor which is very beautiful. He said, you just imagine yourself sit in the bank of the river, and there will be a boat pass by. When you see the boat pass by, the first time you'll be excited. Oh yeah, there is a boat. But if you can start slowly allow that boat to just float by without following the boat, or without even jumping on the boat and start going with the boat. Just tell yourself you're sitting at the bank just enjoying the river. There will be boat, there will be duck, there will be anything float by. You appreciate it. Appreciate that they actually float by and they come by. But don't follow them. Don't go with them. So I keep on practicing that and keep on practicing that. And of course, sometimes you just catch yourself, oh my God, I'm actually on the boat now. And then you just slowly tell yourself, okay, let me get down from the boat. But it is a very long and hard way of trying to get used to. But I need to say that everybody need to start from somewhere. And eventually, I really be able to quiet my mind a little bit here and there. But the most important thing, I start be able to see the roots of my issue. Like why that I feel the way I feel, why I want to join a community right away, why I want to swing the pendulum from one side to the other, thinking that I shouldn't be working in the business world, but I want to totally go into a world that money is not matter. So what is that I'm trying to swing my pendulum so far away, and try to understand like where it all come from. So I think there is a help there. Because I start getting to know myself and getting to know my mind, how my mind works, and how I want to please people. Like, probably a lot of time, either I'm trying to please my parents, either I try to please the community I want to join, or what is that I want to do? Like, in all this endless pursuit of pleasing others. Yeah. So that is how I started feeling that this Sister Catherine has helped me to start seeing a little bit of a different angle of my life.
So, Akka, from you wanting to join a religious institution to a Catholic nun helping you with the counseling, so what happened from there? And I want you to focus on our John Anna sending you letters.
Oh, okay. Wow.
According to like when you were talking yesterday, according to you it was a letter, but according to Anna, was it an email or was it vice versa?
Actually, I still believe it's an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
You,
so
you said it's an email. He said it's a letter.
Yeah. In that time is 2012. Sorry, not 2012. 2003. Because 2001, I went to Hawaii, and then 2003 around that time, I already working with this Dr. Jackson, who is doing the philosophy for children. So at that time, I really already becoming a little bit more aware that I can do many different things that serve the community without necessarily need to become necessarily a nun or become a part of a religious community, although it's still in the back of my mind. And Sister Catherine, this particular Catholic nun, also continued to still be there for me. I still see her, but now it's less frequent. And one day, out of the blue, I received an email. So this email come from John. He obviously, I know him as Father John because when he and I met when I was in college. He just arrived not too long from India, and then he was about to start his mission in Taiwan. So at that time, we obviously, for a few times, we exchanged. He got my address. So when I graduate from college, he just said that, we will keep in touch, because after that particular performance drama, we were not really like in any shape or form meet up anymore, because after that drama completed, that performance completed, we just not really have that kind of a reason to meet up, right? And then he was a priest, and then he has a lot to do, and he need to learn Chinese. So after that, I was busy pursuing my graduate school and all that. So pretty much, we know we are in a place that we will not see one another anymore.
Right.
And then he apparently really nice. He continued to make sure that every important occasion like Christmas or Easter or Chinese New Year, he would try to write a card or letter. So that is why I think he think that he sent a few time a letter or a card to me to just say hi.
According to him, there are hundreds of letters.
No.
Yes, yesterday he said that.
No, I don't think, nothing like that.
No?
But he definitely, he has definitely sent a few times cards. But he definitely tried to make sure that every year he make it a point to send a card or send a letter to just make sure that he keep that connection.
Okay. There was no Facebook, WhatsApp.
Nothing. Yeah, okay. Because we are on those era where social media is not
just
even there.
Yeah,
email is even like, I think he also mentioned email is not even something that you use so frequently, because unless you are in the company or in the... So he definitely have done that. And I have definitely received one or two cards and then was very grateful. And then I tried to write back and then... But to be honest, at that point, we are about 11 years apart, and I really respect him as a religious person that, give up his life, give up the country that he belonged to, come to a new country, try to, work for the church. So I have always that respect for him. And then, of course, after that, I continue with my career, and then I have a lot of things going on in my life. And then to the point that I try to quit the job and try to join the religious community. All that, I don't think I have, in that period of time, have connection with him. So when I was in Hawaii, I received this one email from him. And then he was just simply say, I finally find out that you are no longer in Taiwan, no longer in the place that you live. No wonder a lot of letter or card that I sent you was returned back. So he actually have sent a few times card or letter to me that was not arrived because it was not the right address anymore, right. Because I have moved on. So he wrote me in that email and he said, do you know who told me that you are in Hawaii and how I got your email? Is your roommate in college, Julie. And Julie has been one of the parishioner, people who actually call parishioner is those people who come to the church where he actually was ministering. So my friend Julie, my former roommate Julie, is the one that actually one day just out of the blue kind of get that in conversation, said that, I actually is a roommate of Malia, because they know me as Malia. And then he was really surprised. He said, "Oh, really? So you actually went to the same college and then you actually was roommate in the dormitory with her?" Yes. So he was very happy, he said. And then he got my email address and got Julie tell him that now I actually live in Hawaii.
Right.
So he wrote me and then said that, I wrote you, just want to know how you are and all that. And also want to find out if at any point I come to the US, I probably can come and visit you. Because I have now getting ready to go to USA to pursue my graduate study. because I think I have come to a place where I don't think like my work as a priest can continue to be this way unless I have a different knowledge. And he want to study counseling, he said. So he said he need to pursue this study. And he said, since I'm coming to the USA and I know that you are in Hawaii in US, I would definitely see the opportunity that I can come and visit you. So obviously I said, of course, yeah, if you have a chance to come to visit, I would be very happy to meet you. Obviously, this is after 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah, so I thought, what is the chance, and I'm still addressing him, Father John. I said, I would be very happy to, meet you and all that. But, at that point in my mind is if something interesting happened. I thought, I even only shared this only with one person, my sister.
Okay.
I said, do you know, this Father John actually wrote me. Yeah. And then I said, it's amazing. Like, I haven't heard from him so long. And then but those days when we are doing this activity, practicing for this drama, I always fascinated by his life. And then, how he come all the way from India and all that. And I told my sister, I sometimes even wish that he is not a priest. Oh. I told my sister that and my sister said, oh, really? So, but my sister was obviously just teased me. I said, yeah, people can probably not be a priest after some time. He said, and then I was very staunch Catholic. I said, no, once you're a priest, you're a priest.
You're a priest.
So he eventually continued to write me and tell me that, what is his plan, when he will be coming to the US. And he said, when he arrives, he will tell me, and then he can plan for this particular trip to come and see me. And then I said, definitely, by all means. But only when he arrived in the US, and then he obviously settled down. And then at that point, he was lived near Washington, D.C. It's in the East Coast of US. And when he said he eventually realized where I was, he only understood that it's actually very, very far from where he is. So where he was staying.
How far is 6 hours?
It's about 6 to 7 hour flight, I think, to Hawaii. So he was quite shocked, like, how far it actually will be taking him to fly from where he is to visit me in Hawaii. But I kind of felt like, of course, if he thinks that he wants to come and visit, and I honestly didn't know that he doesn't have idea at that. He didn't have that idea before at that time, but then he still come. He eventually he turned up. He said that, I already promised to come and see you, and then I come. So since I already here, I came and see you. So yeah, I think when we met, we catch up a lot, and then we try to talk a lot about those days, and we are in the college and doing these all things. But of course, he let out a little secret about he is actually contemplating of leaving,
right? Because
he is thinking that his parents is getting old. He felt like if he continued to be a priest in Taiwan, he didn't think that he can easily take care of his parents. And he also started seeing a lot of situation where, of course, at that time, he didn't explicitly say that he was not even feeling comfortably continue to be in that role as a priest because of the organization of the church. But obviously, at that point, I think I was actually continue to try to tell him, like, the reason why I'm in Hawaii, I was actually planning to become a nun, joining this religious community. My parents didn't allow me. That's why I'm here. So I even stressed that to him. I see you've been a priest for a long time. Can you actually give me a little bit of your suggestion or any way that I can continue to pursue this particular calling? Of course, at that time, he was trying to say, well, this is the one thing that I remember. He said, well, a lot of things sometimes what you see from outside is not the same as what you see from inside. So that is the only thing he said. He didn't say much and all that. Okay, I was just contemplating on that. But of course, things rapidly change. He obviously very kind to me and continued to, connect with me. And at that point, I also personally think that I want to pursue a study seriously because since I know that I definitely will not go back to the human resource job that I was doing, and then I need another possibly degree or something to allow me to switch career. And I know that I have been always interested in people. I know that I always find myself really enjoying like learning about people's story and help people to navigate a situation. So I think probably I should also do counseling. I also should do something along that line. But I'm not really interested in the clinical part of the counseling, like try to cure people from some situation. I just want to be a companionship. So there is a degree called pastoral and spiritual care. And I thought, okay, probably that will be what I will do. And interesting enough, Anna, I didn't know at that time which particular university John actually was actually doing his degree. But I received a brochure out of the blue of this particular program that talking about this particular program that I just mentioned, pastoral and spiritual care, which when I read, I suddenly think, oh, this is the kind of program that I like. So I definitely want to apply for it. So I applied. After applying only, another chance of connecting with him, I just mentioned to him, I said, by any chance this particular program, this particular university, because I actually got a brochure and then I actually now seriously thinking about applying and want to take this program. And then he was like so happy. He replied me in email said that this is where I am studying now.
Yes,
this is actually the program that is a little bit different from what he's studying, but it's the same college.
I'm sure the viewers, just like I had a doubt yesterday, might be thinking it was his plan of sending you the brochure.
No. I definitely have.
She didn't agree yesterday, but I still think.
I checked it every time. And then
we
the school.
Men have our ways.
Oh, well, I don't know. Hopefully, he didn't lie to me. But anyway, when it all happened, I just kind of like, it blew my mind that I couldn't even believe that is the program or that is the university that he actually at that point attending. So obviously it's becoming very easy because since he was already there and I have somebody that I know, so it motivated me to actually pursue that particular degree, pursue that particular study. So I asked my parents, is that okay for me to actually do another degree? And my parents at that point of that time, they think that, I can do anything as long as I'm not becoming a religious nun. So they said, go ahead and then you do your degree. And then as long as, this will help you eventually to find your, other career. So yeah, I went to do this degree in Maryland. It's called Loyola University of Maryland. And that particular degree took about a year and a half. And by that time, John is already there for a year. So when I arrived in Maryland, obviously he is super helpful. He helped me to find a place so I can settle down near the college. And then he also accompanied me to go look for a car so I can find my vehicle and all that. And I think the rest is history because obviously when you have someone who always there for you, always a companion to you and always, and obviously one thing about John is he's amazing. He speaks Chinese very well. So at one year, my parents actually come and visit me when I study. He obviously took my parents around and then he have no problem communicating in Chinese with my parents. And I think that is a lot of a plus point.
Right.
And eventually when I break the news to my parents about the intention that probably, John will be the person that I may marry. And my parents obviously not totally say yes right away, but then they understood that John has been in Taiwan and then he know our culture very well. And then my parents obviously can only say yes because for one they know that they always want me to get married, and then they said
better than being a nun according.
Thank you. Yes. So they said okay, just go ahead, and then he think John is a good person. And then because they have met him twice, he came to Hawaii to meet me. And then that time my mother has met him. And then obviously after that they met him. And then, I think all that opportunity is just making it easier.
This must have been a bomb in John and Anna's family.
Oh, yeah. I was not even aware of the magnitude at that time because I'm very ignorant about how in India arranged marriage is still pretty much a thing. Right. And then I didn't even realize, of course, for their family is like you definitely married people who not just only Malayali.
Yeah.
I even know that you need to from a same community.
Same caste,
isn't it?
Yes.
I didn't realize. Like obviously, definitely a Catholic man will not marry the Hindu girls.
Right.
Even they are from Kerala, or even from Kerala, certain area people may not even.
Yes.
So,
Different country, region, religion same, but he's a priest. So
many things, and then he want to live his priesthood. That is not a small thing, and I need to say that there is a part of me also feel a little bit of a guilty because I'm a Christian girl, so I feel very bad also that the fact that this particular person who has been serving the church very well, and then he was very well loved by his community of church, like the parish priest, the parish that he led for many years in Taiwan, really love him. Like the community of people, they really respect him. So it is a blow to them that to know that he eventually will leave the priesthood and want to get married, and obviously his family, his sibling. Yeah. It's just a very tough reality for them to grapple with. I can say this much. I'm thankful that they never really show animosity to me, but I particularly understand it must be pretty hard for them. Because they love their brother as a priest. They love their brother's way of serving the church. So it is very hard for them to fathom like why now he suddenly decided differently. And and then I feel for them.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful that when I came to your home yesterday, it's you who is actually taking care of Anna and his mother. So it's so beautiful, Akka, right from a family, thinking how this is to the person they're least expecting is the one who is there for them.
Oh, yeah. I definitely not thinking about that at that moment that I will end up actually coming to India to be with Amachi and Apachan. But I only say one thing. Life is really very, it's not a linear line that everything you can plan linearly. So for me, I feel that one step at a time. At that moment, I just tell myself I found someone that I think that I can share my life with. But the future and how that will be, it's still very unclear to me. And then and of course, at that moment, I only can say that is the right thing to do. But I need to say that also because we were actually placed in the situation and space where family is not around us. So we were in Baltimore, Maryland, where we don't have a lot of relatives, almost no relative actually. And I think it's also very good because then we can just focus on building our own family. So the pressure of the community, people who know him in the past as a priest is not there. Right. Because that area, nobody really know him as a priest before. And also I don't have all those church friend, even that religious community that used to really support me and I want to belong to was not there. So I think that is only the advantage we have when we come together.
Beautiful, Akka. So I think now we can go into, there's so many things happening. But now we can go into Sadhguru and...
Oh, yeah.
Right, how that happened.
Okay.
Because I think this is very important because you've been a Catholic and Anna has been a priest. And he has come out of priesthood. So he understands how certain institutions work. And even if you look at it, Isha Foundation is also an institution set up by Sadhguru. So there are so many things happening. So him from one organization to another, it must be very skeptical, right? It's very skeptical. So I want you to take me through that and the audience also through that. And then we can go into you deciding to come and volunteering for Isha Home School and your experience of that. I think that is the crux of this podcast, but I want you to talk because nothing is complete in our podcast without Sadhguru.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I definitely feel that this is the most important part of my life and journey that eventually it lead me to Sadhguru. So John and I, like I said, settled down in Maryland, Baltimore. So we kind of built our life there, and I end up working for the university that I did my degree, Loyola University. And John ended up becoming a chaplain in a hospital. He started off as an intern in Johns Hopkins University, and then eventually he moved on to a Bon Secours Hospital and Maryland University as a chaplain, where he can usually visit a patient who need counseling and need some pastoral care. So during that time, our life, because we didn't have children. So both of us very intentionally try to do things together every day. Every night we will actually do exercise together in our basement. Mind you, John is a very good engineer, although he didn't study engineering. So he built a beautiful basement that eventually become our exercise place where we put a few exercise equipment. So we can do exercise every night together in that basement. And we can do exercise while watching any program or TV. So one day we decided to watch a program. At that point, we don't want to simply watch program that random. So we intentionally choose some good program. So that day we choose, and I had been following Deepak Chopra and all this talk that we like to listen to people who are really give a good insight about spirituality and all that. Probably more me than John.
Okay.
And then that day I switched to this particular program that Deepak Chopra is interviewed together with Sadhguru. I didn't know who is Sadhguru, obviously. I only know Deepak Chopra. And then I actually, first time when I saw Sadhguru sitting next to him, I only in my mind thinking like this weird looking person sitting next to Deepak Chopra. Who is this? And then obviously John also didn't know that. And then I watched them ask questions like about consciousness or something, like how human being. And when Sadhguru opened his mouth answering that particular question, obviously Deepak Chopra got the chance to answer it first. And when Sadhguru answered that question, I was like jaw drop. He gives such a good answer and such a clear and help you to understand what is consciousness all about right away. Because Deepak Chopra sometimes use a lot of high language. Sometimes you need to think a little bit before you understand what he's saying. And then I look at John. I said, do you know who is this guy?
Right.
John said no. I actually teased him. I said, you don't know this. You from India. You didn't know that this person at all. John said no. So obviously after that program finished, I cannot stop but help but really go in searching for Sadhgurus. Who is him? Who is this person? And of course, as you all know, a lot of people's story probably the same. And you just start watching his video one after the other one. And every night when we actually, that is a moment that I'm looking for when we finish dinner, when we actually complete all our chore, going down to the basement, start going to do exercise. I'm so looking forward to, I'm going to watch another video of Sadhguru, and he and I will watch together. And to be quite honest, that is a very, very quick decision that right away we think that probably we should try this inner engineering, because every episode after Sadhguru talk, there is always an advertisement. That was 2015. So I said, let's do it. Let's do it. And of course, at that time, we are very skeptical. And like you said, he is skeptical. He said, okay, let's do it, but we don't have to sign up each of us. We just sign up one per person and we'll watch it together. Yeah. Yes, of course.
One per 2 person.
Yes. And then we just very cheap that way. We just want to pay one time. And then, of course, very little that we know after the whole program finished. It's not complete. You actually need to go for completion. But I already very, very, very convinced after the program, because we just suddenly being opened our eyes to many things that we didn't know. And of course, I said, let's go and we need to complete this. And for that time, if we want to have the completion, we need to go to the ashram in Tennessee. And then I told him, we need to plan that. Because now that we already completed the inner engineering online, we should definitely complete this program by going to the Tennessee. So only we understood that we cannot go unless another person also participate in the online, so that we have the 2 registration proof, right?
Right.
So that he completed his, and then we went to Tennessee. So when we went to Tennessee, obviously it's amazing. It's almost like me first time going to Disneyland type of
is it?
that kind of feeling, because that. Actually, that time also is a beautiful time that we go because it's January. So it just finished snow. So there is a lot of snowflake everywhere. And then, the drive, 13-hour drive, we drive from Baltimore to Tennessee. And John loved to drive because it's a scenic route also. So we definitely see that as a wonderful trip. And then arrive in Tennessee. The moment we enter that premises, we know that this is such an important and very, very special place. yeah, I even can now still feel my heart is pumping. When I first arrived there, I was like, wow, this is just amazing. Like, there's a place like this exists even in the US. So we completed our inner engineering. Gomati Akka is our teacher. And right away, because since we already come all the way, they always bundle this type of visit with a possibility to take Surya Kriya. So both of us also took Surya Kriya from Tennessee ashram, and then we came back with Surya Kriya to practice and also Shambhavi to practice. So we actually pretty religiously every morning practice together to complete the mandala. And I think for many people who have been in this path know that when you completed the mandala, that is definitely already in a way you are starting feeling your life has been somehow changed. But of course you don't know exactly what it is. So when we were there, when we are completing our inner engineering, they told us, because obviously when you go to ashram, the first thing you ask, how can I see Sadhguru, right? Yeah. And of course I was very naive. I thought that I should easily be able to see him, right? And then only understand after that, no, because Sadhguru is very busy, and then he has ashram in India, and then sometimes he travel a lot. But there is a chance that coming up soon, that time is January, right? When we when we did that, Sadhguru is going to come again in April for BSP, Bhava Spandana program. And if you think you are ready, definitely you can join this particular program, and then you can see Sadhguru. I understood at that time it will not be possible, because January we just completed this Shambhavi and we are going to complete the mandala. But my eagerness to see him is so big that I try to tell myself, okay, probably I want to be coming to again for this program. So after that, I went back to Maryland, practiced very hard. And after some time, I told John, we probably should attempt this BSP, right? The Bhava, because then we can actually see Sadhguru. And then when we click in the website to apply, it's already full, only waiting list. And of course, we didn't understand how popular this one, because Sadhguru is actually the person that's going to take, teach this course or teach this program. But anyway, why not? Just put ourselves in waiting list. Lo and behold, almost about 2 weeks before that program start, we got the news that we are actually be able to participate, because they open up space. So again, we drove up to Tennessee for this Bhava Spandana program. Okay. So obviously after Bhava Spandana, we almost sure that, we really want to involve in Isha. So we really start volunteering a lot, and then bring the program to Baltimore and all that. So in one fine day, John came home telling me, saying that he has been communicating with his parents a lot this day, also with his sibling, that his parents is really getting old and getting afraid to be on their own. And they are living in Muatupura by themselves, actually in the village, Aragura. And it's not easy, because they are already in their 80s. And then all the kids, they have 5 kids, but all of them are in the US. And John definitely see that there is a part of him feel that he want to be able to be there for them. Of course, it is a very difficult for me to first understand, what does that mean? That means we need to leave what we are now in the US, our job, our career, and our life. But I need to tell you, Anna, I think this is what I sometimes also still need to say, that is grace from Sadhguru. Why? Because this daunting possibility of you need to leave everything that you have built up in one country. And now John said if he go back to taking care of his parents, he also not sure how long it will be, because obviously you want to take care of them until the rest of their life. And then also what will that look like? And then he even also said that, if you really find it difficult, probably for certain period of time, you will stay in the US and continue your career. And I will be in India, and then we will just try to meet halfway each time. But I think about it, I really meditate about it. And then I really started seeing that, I don't know why, I start feeling that possibly I can come along with him. And if it's possible, I can also volunteer in India for Isha.
Right.
But of course, I don't know what does that mean. I only can see that as a possibility, but I don't know how it look like, and will they actually even allow me to do that. And where we live is still a distance to where Isha Ashram. But actually the distance is not that far because it's still manageable by train. You don't have to take airplane, and you can still, you can go in one day. So, but obviously I have no notion how that would be, but a little bit in my mind is like, I probably will be able to do it if I can go to India and volunteer for Isha. Because I know that probably it's not easy for me to picture myself to just stay at home and then be with John taking care of his parents without certain activity that I'm familiar with. And at that point, Isha become a familiar place and a familiar thing that I can do, I think. So, okay, I said, why don't I try to write to Isha, sharing my resume and see whether they see I can be someone that I can volunteer and do some work in Isha in between, like, while I'm living in Kerala. And obviously, at the beginning, I didn't get an answer, but one fine day, I got a email saying that we want to interview you and see what you can do if you actually come to Isha. So I was so happy, and then I said, okay. And then that interview is with Swami, one Swami, and then that Swami actually provide me another chance to be interviewed with Isha Home School, because I guess they saw a lot of my background. I was working for institution of education in the US. I was working for almost 10 years by then in Loyola University, and I was working with students. So Prakash Anna is actually the principal who actually got to interview me. And he definitely at that moment already gave me a lot of hope, because he talked about Isha Home School and about what they are doing and situation and all that. So I right away said, probably I would like to come and see how it looked like, and then whether I think I can volunteer there. But of course, the journey from that particular interview to the time that I can actually be able to come to India, it's still a while, because obviously we need to wind up, we need to sell our house and all that. But and then John need to leave US first, because at that point the parents really need him already. So there is a gap of 1 year. I actually still continue to be in the US, and John already back in India. So in between, I visited John once, and then we came to Isha Ashram to for me to do a program Sunya, and also for us to check about ashram if there is any possibility that I eventually will volunteer. So that at that visit, on the very last day of my Sunya, I finally got a chance to visit Isha Home School.
What is the kind of schooling? What is the structure? What are the things that the kids go through? How is it different from that? I want you to focus on the specifics, like,
Sure.
When a new kid comes there, where does he stay? What is the kind of teachers? What is the process? What makes it different from my regular schooling? Like a regular school, like I go through every day morning, I go, there are 10 subjects, I need to do homework, I return back. I am in a class with my same age group. There's a principal, there's a headmaster, there's a vice principal. So how is Isha Home School different from all of this?
Well, I don't think at the nutshell is very different in terms of structure, because any school obviously need to have a principal, have a vice principal, and have all the administrative people. When I first visited Isha, also first thing is only want to know also about all the things that you know or you want to know, because obviously if I'm going to volunteer in a place or want to serve in a place, I want to know how they work, right? How they function. So I learned a lot of their functioning way is obviously in the structure wise is almost like any schools. They need to follow a system. So at that point when I start volunteering with Isha Home School, I know that they follow a CBSE system, and then there will be different classes. But of course, it's called homeschool for a reason.
Yes.
Because the kid actually is living in the premises, and then it's a residential school. So that is probably a little bit of different from the day school that you usually go to. But I also know that there is a lot of boarding school in this country, right? That where people, So when I first arrived, I also want to know more, like who is going to take care of those kids when they're at home. So after being part of it, I only learned. The structure from the nutshell is look the same, but the difference is who are the people who actually work with these kids. So I don't even sometimes comfortable calling myself a teacher, although obviously the kids look at me as a teacher, but I'd rather call myself as a companion to this kid. Because I think we are all volunteer coming from a different walk of life who want to dedicate our time and energy with these kids. We may actually have certain things that we study in the past, but we may not always teach the subjects with the expertise or we have that particular credential, but we always don't know that we can help to facilitate.
So are you saying, let's say in a regular class I'm going to, the science is taught by a teacher who has done a BSc in science or who's something like that. So in a home school, who teaches the kids science, physics? Could you elaborate on that a bit?
So they could be any teacher also have done any, but there can be any engineering degree as long as you know about math, and then you can actually do the, you obviously remember some of the things that you did on your high school time. So for one thing is you need to be interested first. Right. Another thing is you willing to actually dive in to also learn together with the kids. Yes, there is people, obviously we will not teach a subject. For example, I'm not very good at science.
Right.
I will not definitely be taking up a science class, or I will probably never be taking math class because my math is so bad. But I think we will be giving a chance to look at what type of subject that first you personally also interested in. And second, obviously, you see that you can be a part of this learning together with the kids but obviously lead them. Because to be quite honest, a lot of things that the kids need to learn is in the book.
Right.
So you just need to be able to facilitate them for them and prepare it for them. Yeah.
So basically, are all the teachers like volunteers, and what kind of graduates are there, like from which institute?
Yeah, I only understood because I'm not from India, so I don't know a lot of people education background or what kind of system they come from. But when I arrived, I was introduced obviously to a lot of different teachers, and then what are their background. I learned only a lot of our teachers are graduated from a very privileged, a very, very prominent university like IIT. Okay. Like I have a few teachers that from IIT Kanpur, from IIT Mumbai. And then I only understood after that it's very, very hard to get admission to those in institutions. And then, but they are very humble. We don't even know. Obviously, they didn't give you that air that, oh, I'm actually a graduate from IIT and all that. But then obviously I understand how dedicated they are and also how good they are. They are very creative. All of us actually learn to be creative with kids because we know kids only will be interested in the subject if you are not teaching them just by book and then only like everything by books. Yeah.
So could you now describe how a day of a kid looks like, right? From waking up to sleeping and who he's among?
Yes. So I think the most special part that really make them different from other school is all kids have a very different schedule during the day. They usually wake up in probably around 5:30 to 6.
Do they have a dormitory or like?
Yeah, they live in the house.
Yeah.
They live in a house. They live all in different house according to their grade or their age.
Okay, so like one grade stays in one home?
Yeah, 3 grades stay in one home. Okay. So this is how I think beautiful arrangement. Because so that there will be some kids a bit older than the other kids. Right. And they will feeling like a sibling, the older sibling. So like grade 2, 3, 4 in one house. Okay. And then also likewise in the high school, like 11, 12, 13 in one house.
13.
Yeah, we have a 13. So we are a 12 plus 13 for a reason. Okay. Because Sadhguru want the kids to have one more year so they can experience more life. So this is how their life is. I can give you a little bit of the rundown. So each house, about 20 kids. And then they will be staying in a room which is about 8 kids in one room. But of course, the younger one, there will be a bunk bed and then there will be more kids.
Right.
And each house will have house parents, 2 parents. Like, it can be a couple because we have teachers who are couples. But it also can be 2 like male teacher or 2 female teachers. Right. And we also live in the house with them. And then in the morning we wake them up about 5:30, and then we make sure that they wake up and go to do the first thing is do exercise like anything. Sometimes they do calorie, or sometimes they do other exercise sport, and then they will come back and then do yoga.
Okay.
Yeah, they will do yoga, and then after that will breakfast, and then once breakfast done, they will go to class. The first class started, and then lunch they will have about 12:45. They will go for lunch, and then we will have another session after lunch, about 1 hour break, and then they will have another afternoon class. Now that is more on the academic side, but in the afternoon by 4:30 they will definitely have a real outdoor activities. It can be playing basketball, that can be going swimming, that can be going for different activities. For example, I was at one point need to take kids for swimming. All these junior kids will do swimming, and then we will just allow them to learn. Although I may not be a good swimmer, but at that point of we just want to make sure that they have activities that allow them to be outdoor. And then after that, in the evening, they have dinner. And then after dinner, for the older one, for the high school, that from 8th grade onward, they will be having a lot of extra activities. Sometimes they will have a workshop. Sometimes they will have a guest speaker coming from outside, because we have a lot of people who know Sadhguru come to ashram. Sometimes they are very prominent people. Like, for example, people from ISRO came to talk to them. Some prominent entrepreneur come to talk to them. We are very, very fortunate that way, because this kid get exposed to people from different walk of life coming to talk to them. Also, that will happen usually, can be after dinner, or can be sometime during the day. Apart from that, every festivity, every important celebration, this kid got to celebrate and got to be part of it. So sometimes, also one thing, in our school, we don't have Monday to Friday class and Saturday, Sunday holiday.
Okay.
For the kids, they even don't know when it will be their break day. Sometimes we can give them a whole day break on Tuesday.
Okay.
That will be the day they will clean their room. Because since they're living in a house, so they need to take it seriously. This house is your house, so you need to clean. You need to be part of doing some chores. Although we do have some helper, but a lot of time they need to help cleaning. But we don't know when. Okay. Sometimes they will be happening in the Tuesday, something happening in the Thursday. So they will always have this feeling that you don't always anticipate Saturday or Sunday. And of course, you also know, sometimes people already know that Isha is one of the school that we don't allow kids to use any gadget, like a device. So they don't have their iPod, iPad, laptop. They have a computer lab where they can do their homework, but at home, they don't have gadget. So all the time, they will do a lot of activities, like either outdoor, or they will doing some board game, and read books. We have a beautiful library, and the library is full of any wonderful books, and our kids just love their library time. And the library time can be in the middle of the day, and we sometimes also allow them if they need to do some activities in the library. And we, as a so-called teachers, we also along with them go and learn with them, and sometimes we accompany them in the library. And I think one thing about our kids is also they are very good at a lot of extracurricular kind of music. So they really need to learn one music instrument or Carnatic music. I even pick up the Sarigama Padanisa with them, because you know, like, this is all very important aspect of life. You don't only fill your brain with academic intelligence. You need to learn music, and then Bharatanatyam. We have a wonderful Bharatanatyam teacher. Actually, at one point, she is actually my roommate as a teacher roommate. Bharatanatyam teachers. So we have all these different activities that the kids participated in during their school years.
So when do the parents get to meet the kids? Do they have a vacation? Can the parents send them some things? How does that work?
Yeah. So obviously during the year, in a year there will be 2-time parent visit. Parent visit is a time when the parents can come and stay in the school or stay in the ashram, and then the kids can be with them for that 1 or 2 days. And then of course the kids can, the parents also want to meet the teacher and find out what is the progress of the kids. And in between, they are not allowed to talk on the phone in the daily basis. But it's not because this is like a very strict rule or anything, but it's just more for them to be used to that they can communicate to their parents by writing letters or by sending email. So they definitely have that communication with the parents, which is, I think, is beautiful. I don't even remember when was my last time writing letter to my parents, but I think that is a very thoughtful way for them to be able to like really write down what they want to tell their parents, and then the parents write back. And then of course, when parents come to visit or when parents cannot visit also, they can send a package of food or anything for their kids. And one thing that I found it beautiful about this is the kids will tell the parents not what they want, but also what the other kids in the house want. Right. So the parents will send a package of food or goodies, not just for their own kids, but for all the kids in that house with that kids. So everyone have that kind of a habit of telling their parents, I want you to send me this, but at the same time, please send for enough for me to share it with my friends. Right. So one time they also make sure that I also, because I also house parenting temporarily, so I get to share a lot of the goodies that come from different part of India from their parents. Right. Yeah.
That's very beautiful, Akka, because there is so much care given to these kids to grow up as beautiful human beings. So now I want you to go, just as we went through this section, you said, they said 12 and 13. So could you tell what happens during the 13th year, and could you tell us what the kids go through? Yeah.
So Sadhguru want this particular school have one more year extra, because he understood that a lot of time when you come to 12 years, you don't even actually enjoy that year because there is an exam year.
We don't know what to do next in life.
Exactly. And then you are so focused on just taking exam, and then right after that, you already need to know that you're already in college. Yeah. So one more year, it's like 11, 12, 13. So they staggered that whole 3 years for the kids to have more chance to experience life. So one of the experience is doing internship. And I'm very fortunate when I arrived in Isha Home School, internship is one of the program that just started. So me, along with another teacher, volunteer, Aman Anna, we both actually kind of try to put together this internship program. And this internship program is actually a very serious one, where we actually allow the kids to have about 2.5 months during summer break to actually work in a real world, like in a company. It can be a for-profit company, it can be a non-profit company, but it's a real work that they can see how their academic study apply to the world. And then one thing is we need to make sure that they also learn the etiquette of being in the real world, because obviously they need to understand how you behave and how you carry yourself. So 11th grader, they will be volunteering, will be doing the internship in Isha premises. Like some of the people, some of the kids will be volunteering, doing the internship at Isha Live, Isha Shopee, and some will be probably doing the internship at Isha Video or Isha Publication. So they will be applying some of the skill that they are good at or they are interested in, also at that different department in Isha. So in order to prepare them, we need to make them learn to write resume. So I actually need to teach them on what is that you need to put in your resume, how to adequately promote yourself and say what you actually have done in terms of leadership role that you have taken in the class, on what have you studied in the subject that you like, and what make you think that this is going to be a good internship for you. What can you contribute to the organization that you're going to? So we are very happy that throughout the whole time that I am in Isha, I was actually be able to volunteer at Isha for 3 years. So I have actually been able to work. And after that, obviously, I continue to support them remotely. I honestly see the shift in the span of 2.5 months. The kids participate in internship, they come back a very different person.
Which are some of the organizations that these kids get to go to?
Yeah. So, for example, some of them went to Bangalore. So we have actually some kids actually work with Bangalore Whitefield for a few IT company. There is one called Mu Sigma. And then we also had kids work for Mahindra, First Choice. And we have kids work for a designer in Mumbai, Vaisakh. design a studio. We have kids work for actually a non-profit in industry called Industry, and then this is a non-profit in Madurai. So because of that also, although I'm not very familiar with a lot of places in India, but since I'm taking care of this internship, so I had a chance to visit our students while they're doing internship. So I went to Madurai to visit with them and see what they're doing and how they're doing. I guess for them to be put in all this organization is also thanks to Sadhguru, because in Isha we have another program called Insight.
Right.
And
yes.
Insight is also the time when all these company come and then share their knowledge with one another, and Sadhguru usually will be there. And a lot of these company who come, we also pitch to them saying that we have this internship program for Isha Home School, and if your company see fit, will you take one or these two kids as an intern? And of course, a lot of them raise their hand, and then they actually allow our kids to come and intern. So then we really see the possibility of really collaborating with all these different company. And I think it's really unheard of. I know that a lot of internship happen usually only when you are in college.
Yes.
But for high school, honestly, it's not something common. But when our kids finish internship, we get a lot of feedback from the company that they go to, saying that our kids are so mature, are very, very, very intelligent, and also want to share a lot of what they know, and also very good at learning and very quick at learning. And one time we have this one kid doing internship at Mahindra. And he actually found out every morning when he participated in a morning meeting, everybody is really not really motivated. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he felt that some people are dragging their feet to that morning meeting. I don't know how he suddenly think about an idea. He told the CEO, "Is that okay, sir? If in the morning I will share Sadhguru quote."
Okay.
You know how like every morning we have Sadhguru quote that we can find out. Right. He said, "I will be putting Sadhguru quote on the table and everybody can read that quote."
Right.
And then before the meeting, they can actually use that quote as a way to reflect, okay, what does that quote mean? Right. So he actually suggested that. And then the CEO also said, okay, let's try. And he painstakingly type the quote, print out the quote, and put it on the table. Everybody in the morning come to the meeting table and see that quote and very surprised. Who is this? And then it's our student. And then they read the quote, and then they start the meeting with the quote. And then they start understanding like, oh, okay, this quote can probably mean this to me. And ever since that, the meeting is different vibe. Wow. Because everybody start the meeting with a Sadhguru quote. So we underestimate sometimes how these young people, they can actually provide a very different things because of how they are, right? So when I also visited one of a service site at Whitefield, Musicma, our kid actually was invited to do yoga with the employee. And we even have a video of them being interviewed, and then this Musicma actually also interviewed them after the internship. And they really see a very different quality in this kid. So what I'm trying to say is I definitely would not take much credit because of I participate in this Isha internship. But I only want to say that because of the ambience they grew up with, because the time that they are spending in Isha Home School. Because 1 year we actually cannot really send them out because of COVID. And I am also actually being in the school. So I need to set up a place for them to actually do internship in Isha Home School remotely with all these different companies that they actually being assigned to. So I was just there try to give them an ambience where they actually kind of come to a place where like an office. So they come in the morning and then they come on time because I will be there first to open that place, and then they will come in and sit down and then really start their work. And I will be sitting there and see how they work. And I really amazed. And they really put themselves in that mode. Now it's no longer a student. I am actually now working for an organization, although it's remotely. So I need to actually complete the task that they want me to do. So a couple of our students actually will be able to work remotely for First Post, and also be able to work remotely for Amar Chita Qatar, to writing article or putting together some illustration for them. I'm so moved actually when talking about them, because I made them write journal every week about what they have done during the internship. each time I read those journal, I really cannot believe how much they actually have learned, not so much about the job or the skill, but about themselves.
Right.
They start reflecting about when they are actually going to a new city which they never been. For some kid, when they get the internship in Bangalore, they need to take metro from the hostel that they live. So they actually told me in the journal, during the ride of the metro, I actually discovered this.
Right.
So I found our kids also have this capacity to reflect a little bit deeper. Not only about the experience in the work, but it's about the experience of the whole internship on how they need to adjust to the life that in the city that they never been, and how they actually start learning to talk to the adult. So yeah, I think that capacity to reflect is a beautiful skill that not all of us actually, when we were young, we can have. So I was really admiring that possibility in them. So I really think that that's a privilege for me to be able to have that chance to accompany them for 3 years in this capacity, especially to see how they blossom after this internship. So that is how I see Isha Home School has been able to give that kind of opportunity to the kids.
Okay. So Akka, now, as we all know, Yamini Akka made a certain allegation against, Isha Home School and what her son went through. So I just want you to, I want to know whether you have interacted personally with him, and how was that interaction, and how was he in the school?
Yeah, so I was quite saddened by this incident. I didn't really have an overlap time with Yamini Akka as a teacher. I already not at Isha when she became a teacher, but I was there when her son was there. And I had a chance to be with him, guiding him to select the internship. He is a very talented young man. He has so many different opportunities that he can pursue. He is very good at music. He is actually a very talented musician. At one point, we are contemplating whether he should doing internship in the music area, which a lot of kids actually end up also doing internship at the music area and the music industry. But he also very, very smart. I think he take political science and all that subject, and he is very sharp about all this world event. We sometimes have some debate or some discussion. He is always the one that come up and say something about that. And he also very good at understanding business, economy. So obviously, when kids like him, who has so many different possibilities, when you sit down with him, you can tell that how can we decide which will be the internship for him, right? And he is very positive. He obviously know that he can have a lot of opportunity, but he know that his parents probably will be happier if he had a chance to intern in an organization. And so end up we decided he should doing internship in the organization. Actually, that his parents also know that organization, GMR. So he interned there. And I honestly remember him as a very positive young man. I still can recall the time that I sit down with him. So obviously, you can imagine when I hear this allegation that Yamini Akka put together about, about Isha Home School and how his son. Honestly, I found it very difficult because I know him personally and I know him as a very positive young man. So it's very difficult for me to imagine that at one point he actually want to leave the school and he was not happy at the school because definitely that was not the kind of vibe or the kind of impression I had of him. Because we sometimes chat and also sometimes he has a lot of side of him. He is also very interestingly have a very sense of humor. So yeah, it's just that I couldn't put together that particular person that Yamini Akka was trying to describe about his son to her son about and the person that I know. But of course, I will not discredit her if things happen that she think it's right that she want to share it. But it's just that I have a different experience of her son because of the kind of interaction I had. Yeah, so it is very difficult at the moment to think about what happened that Yamini Akka put together.
Beautiful, Akka. So we have come to the end of our podcast, and I would let the viewers decide because
Yeah.
That's the I think that's the beauty of it, right? People should have their own voice, what they think about, and if they still feel needed, they should take the extra effort to know what is right and wrong. So Akka, before we end it, anything that you would like to share to the audience? Because you are someone from a different culture, from a different upbringing, but yet you tend to do the practices of yoga and, you know, visiting temples. And I think you recently did a temple course also with
Prem. Yeah.
Yeah. So any last parting words for the audience? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I only will say that life is full of gifts that you can receive, right? It's only when you are ready, the gifts is going to be there for you. And I feel that coming from a very different background and culture, I found that India is full of gifts, full of beautiful tradition that waiting for us to uncover. And I know that coming from a Buddhist family, and even Buddhism actually is born of this country. And so I have a privilege this past summer participating in a temple workshop that Prem Anna, which I hope that later on we will be able to share the link.
Yeah, we'll link it in the
description. And then I only so blown away by the kind of intricacy and also all this particular ritual that we always see people perform in temple. They have meaning behind it, and then they have so many important impact to our life, even to our way of behaving. And then I didn't realize that before, and then how that energy of that consecrated place is going to affect us, and how the idea of going to temple is not praying for anything, it's just to imbibe that energy, and how you want to make that devata aura that one day become your aura. So I feel that is amazing. I still looking forward to having more chances to visit temple and to understand. But that 2 days workshop that I have with Prem Anna is really open a lot of vista for me. And then to also know how to relate well to this divine entity. Because I think sometimes we are so afraid or so sometimes revered, but we also don't know how to invoke that divine entity's nature in us. And now I know a little bit more, and also to be able to relate more. So yeah, I think my parting word is like, for all the viewer who actually born and grew up in this culture, please definitely don't pass the opportunity to learn more about your culture and to dive into your culture and to dive into your tradition. And for those who are not from this culture, I think at one point of your life you should actually visit this country and learn about these cultures.
Thank you, Akka. Thank you for being part of the podcast. And I would like to thank Aprajita Akka also, who,
yes, thank to Aprajita. Because of her only, I can get to know you and get to know wonderful work that you do. Yes. And I really, really thank you for the time of your life that you contribute to this work, Anna. Really, I really admire that.
Thank you. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Okay, everyone. I wanted to end the podcast, but I forgot the main thing. What is this, Akka? What is this Akka's famous?
It's called iPod. Although this is looking like coming from an ancient time, but it's still not that ancient. This is the one of the very beginning of iPhone, but it's iPod. And then this has been my companion on my sadhana. So I always use it to help me. Yeah, this iPod is very important because there is a few apps that obviously very helpful for me when I'm doing sadhana. For example, I have the bell that to help me to enter a meditation that I always want to make sure that I use to tell me that okay, I can start now, and then the timing. So yeah.
Can you play the Brahmananda Surupa chant in this?
And then I have all my chant that I like in this particular iPod that I can always listen to every day if I need, whenever. So this one is like, although it's small and look like very broken.
Can you rotate it? Can they see the behind? It's not an iPhone, guys, it's an iPod. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, this is not an iPhone, this is an iPod. I'm selling it for $1 million. So send me an email if you want this.